And welcome as we come to you live from the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. And of course, we had a lot of fun broadcasting live in Melbourne last Friday. That seems like years ago. Leanne Howard joins me from the Ideas Exchange.
Hi.
Another great day lined up for today.
Well, we're excited about today. Melbourne was wonderful. We've got some of the same speakers again. And we've got a few local people as well from Sydney, and we've got over 800 people, so we're really excited.
Yeah, well, of course, totally booked out today too.
Absolutely,
Leanne.
We have a wait list.
Yeah,
so
well, too late now.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is the only way.
Get in early next year.
Yeah, exactly. This is the only way you're able to watch what's happening here. A bit of an idea for you about what is happening over the next half hour anyway. We're going to be talking to Craig Sheargold from Luton Properties in just a moment. Matt Steinwede from McGrath will also join us. Dr. Andrew Wilson with his 2-minute snapshot on the market for us. Mark Kentwell from PRD at Newcastle, and also Craig Marshall from Century 21. Also this half hour you're going to hear from Tim Foote, Tim Heaviside and Matt Lancashire. So stay with us. There's a lot lined up in the next 30 minutes. We've got a lot of speakers coming your way, and we've got some news for you about what's happening here at the Ideas Exchange. But first, before we come back with our first guest, Craig Sheargold, I just want to take you to an episode that we produced for Domain. And I want to thank Domain as being our major sponsors here, along with, of course, Visual Domain and the Real Estate Project. But without Domain, of course, we simply wouldn't be able to bring these broadcasts, so we thank them for that. But as part of the Domain Insights to Success series, I recorded this episode with Brad Caldwell-Isles. Brad, has the internet and social media helped a startup agent get profile quickly?
Ultimately, it's up to the individual how they use this, but it's all laid out there in front of you. My own experience is that we started our new brand 4.5 years ago. We were established agents already, so we used our name. After that, we've worked on Facebook, Twitter, all of the property pages, so on and so forth. And it's not just tweeting our own stuff, it's connecting with other parties as well to get our message out there.
Going back to the start when you first started your business, is there anything you'd do different now in social media to get you maybe kick-started quicker?
Well, I've learned a lot about how you need to connect to get your message out there. One of the things we had done, we're on the block for instance, is set up an anonymous information page, and then we fed that tweet information that we wanted to disseminate. It's a non-denominational, non-franchise, non-branded information page, but it helps us connect to the people we want to connect to. And that gets it out to a lot of the Fairfax journalists and so on and so forth. So the more places you can put your name, the better off you are. Connect to the newspaper journalists, connect to the bloggers, connect to Twitter, connect to Facebook. It's all very easy, but have some humility when you're doing it.
Apart from getting on the block, which you did very successfully, what can the average agent do to lift their profile?
There are so many answers to that, and we can't be all things to all people, but once you've got a plan, make sure you do it well. And I would come back to identify your market, determine who it is you're going to chase, and then make the contact. It's the generic stuff, it's the letterbox drops, it's the door knocking, but my advice to you is to find some way to value add to every one of your contact points without asking for anything.
Welcome back. We're coming to you bright and early from Sydney, the Star Casino actually, as we are broadcasting live from here with all of the action and the excitement of the Ideas Exchange. This is Live Exchange. And my first guest, bright and early, thanks for joining us nice and early too, Craig Sheargold from Luton Properties. Craig, thanks for being with us.
It's a pleasure, Kevin.
Just by way of introduction, Craig is the Sales and Training Manager for Luton Properties, recognised as one of the ACT's leading agencies. And in the last 14 years, they've sold over 10,000 properties. So I guess you guys really do know what you're doing.
Yeah, we do, Kevin, and it's a great marketplace to work in Canberra, and but probably similar to a lot of places around Australia, the same challenges and issues we're all facing.
Well, you're training a fairly big team, Craig. Tell us what you see as the 5 critical mistakes that agents make.
Okay, well, I suppose it depends on their experience in the industry, but I could almost narrow it down to one major mistake that I see people making, and that is their inability to handle the freedom with time that the industry gives them, particularly people who've come from a more structured work background or have come from areas where there's more accountability. Working in real estate, the challenge of managing your own time effectively is a great one, I think, for agents all around the country.
So just time management, or is it actually working out what are the things that really make you the dollars?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of those things. I'm a very big believer that the industry is very much a task-related industry, so it is about managing your time to be there, but then actually while you're there working on the right tasks to make sure you are dollar productive.
I mentioned at the start there too, you've got a fairly big team. How do you manage the complexity between those high performers and the people who are newly starting?
Yeah, so the sort of training we do in general, we will train together monthly as a group, but then the actual training for individuals is tailored to where they're at, right through from a new starter who might be in their first week in the industry to someone, say, like a Richard Keeley, who's one of the probably leading agents in Australia. And so the sort of training that he needs, or how I might be able to help him in the growth of his individual business, is tailored to his particular needs.
So just getting back to that earlier question about, you know, the time problems we have, or the point that you made, which is a very good one, about how we can't handle that free time.
Yeah.
Do you find that the good agents get good because they can actually channel their work and their free time is, you know, there really is a dividing line between them?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think very much it's the discipline to be able to manage yourself and hold yourself accountable. And to be actually then spending that time performing the tasks that need to be done. And a lot of those tasks, as a lot of people listening would appreciate, are fairly mundane tasks, and there's some, but nonetheless very important tasks to particularly staying in contact, doing the prospecting work, building relationships going forward. People have to have that discipline to apply themselves to these tasks, day in, day out.
At what point do you say, well, I'm not going to do those non-productive tasks anymore, I'm going to get myself a PA?
Yeah, well, that's great. That's a great question. We've got 2 or 3 people in our organisation asking that question at the moment. I mean, my gut feeling is when you're getting around the 35 to 40 transaction mark per year, you're probably getting close to your capacity, and you need to be having a look at how you might be able to bring some extra help into your business, what roles they might do, and how that and what would you do with the free time that's created you. Where would you spend the extra time in your business?
Last Friday we talked to a number of agents in Melbourne at the Ideas Exchange, and one of the things that came out there was one of the big challenges for the industry going forward is going to be the attack on commissions, keeping our commission levels up. What are you guys doing to protect that?
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 major ways to protect your commission, and one of them is basically to have some volume in your business. Agents that have more volume aren't under as much pressure to...
Could you explain what you mean by that?
Okay, well, at the end of the day, if you're a new starter in the industry and you've got one listing and you're under fee pressure, you're a lot more likely to probably have to roll over and negotiate your fee. But for an agent who's, say, carrying 10 or 15 listings, they're in a lot stronger position at the negotiating table. But primarily more important than that is to be trying to get into more uncontested listings, and that's going to come through managing relationships. And basically that term a lot of real estate agents hear but don't necessarily apply themselves to is data management, basically becoming the person's agent before they need an agent, so you can get yourself into more uncontested business.
I mean, agents are becoming a lot better at actually running their own business. Is this making it harder for the newbies to start? Because the things that you're talking about there, they actually take time to develop.
Yeah, no, I would agree entirely, particularly those that are effectively building data and have a system of managing a relation going forward. It is a lot harder for new agents to crack into the industry today.
Craig, I want to thank you for your time and all the best for today. I know you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, good on you, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
My first guest has been Craig Sheargold from Luton Properties. Stay with us, because in just a moment we're going to come back and Matt Steinwede is going to tell us what he's implemented in his business in the last 12 months. We're coming to you live from the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. See the biggest lineup of successful real estate professionals, coaches and mentors ever assembled with Domain's insight to success.
Join Kevin Turner. In each episode, he goes one-on-one with some of Australia's top performers in the biggest video series produced exclusively for the real estate industry. Kevin's experience perspective unveils powerful insights to help you understand how people are succeeding in the current marketplace.
All yours, free every week. Welcome back from the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. My next guest is Matt Steinwede, probably recognised as one of Australia's best agents, although he's not going to like me saying that, but he certainly is recognised as one of the best agents in Australia. He's developed a specialised assistance team that involves customer service, technology and database management. That's not what we're going to talk to Matt about today, because I want to talk to Matt about what he's implemented in his business in the last 12 months. Matt gives so much back to the industry. In fact, when I called him and asked him whether he'd do this, he said, yeah, sure, no worries, what time do you want me there? That's just the way Matt is. Matt, what have you done to continually build your business year on year, and particularly what have you done the last 12 months?
I think the major thing for myself is time, rather than, bigger volume or whatever, because I think there's a capacity that we can work at. I've got 6 kids, so for me it's allowing myself to have more time around work, and that's been the biggest change for me. So I finish work every day at 3 o'clock and I start work at about 9:30.
Start work at 9:30? Yeah. So you've really got that balance right for yourself?
I do. And that's just come probably from the last 15 years of moulding the team around me. So I've got a guy that shares the load with me, and then a PA and a client service manager, and also a cadet. So I can pick my son up from school, take him to the beach and surf most of the time.
So you've really built your business around building your lifestyle right, haven't you?
I have. I got to a point where it was all about the volume, it was all about the sales.
Yeah.
And I think the industry's a little bit geared like that. But, you write a couple of $1 million a year. I don't want more than that. I don't need to go to 3 million or 4 million or whatever. And because I understood that it's not that you can't, it's more that do you want to. And for me, having a bit of peace of mind, like I've just been away for 3 days at Western Plains Zoo, and my team just look after everything. So that's been very refreshing for me.
Yeah, that's a great lesson for agents, isn't it? To put aside that desire to become the biggest and the best and really drive for some kind of a lifestyle.
Yep.
It's good that you've been able to reach that point, I guess, in your life.
It is, and I sort of realised as well, it's not exactly about what you write, it's the service that you provide. It's how you feel about dealing with each client, every new lead that comes in. So yeah,
I guess it's pretty important too, with you having spent that much time away from the business, that your team is really a reflection of you. In other words, we talk about becoming the trusted advisor, but there'll be many times when you have to send them in, and they're your absolute representative.
For sure, they're an extension of you.
Yeah.
And I do want to make it pretty clear, it's taking me almost 20 years to find those people.
Yeah.
So I've had lots of PAs that just haven't been a right fit, but that's okay, you sort of just learn from it.
The next question I was going to ask you, probably you've pretty much answered it, about becoming the attraction agent without having to work 24/7. It's all about building that team.
Yeah, it is.
Do you still get into the kinds of marketing that you did? I remember you, what was that first marketing campaign you told us about last year?
Who is Matt Steinwede?
Who is Matt Steinwede?
Yeah. I do, but it's different. Like at the moment I'm working on there's a lady called Marie Folio that I follow closely. So I'm working on a marketplace blog where every Friday they'll get a blog from me. But there's a lot of traditional marketing that's going into that as well. So to build awareness, I think a lot of agents try the blog, it doesn't work. But I've got a concept that I think will be the death of the CMA.
Yeah. I know when you moved into the area that you're in now, it was a fairly tough challenge for you because you moved into a new area, you had to re-establish yourself.
Yeah.
What are one or two things that people can do starting out to get themselves established quickly in an area?
I just think work twice as hard. In the beginning, there's this stretch that needs to happen, and work twice as hard, meet as many people as you can, but take care of people. I think there's so many buyers and there's so many leads that you can find, capture them, take care of them, and find twice as many as the competitors, and it'll work out.
Matt, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're going to have a great time here, so stay with us, just sit there, and all the best, and thanks once again for being with us.
No sweat.
Yeah. I guess this time it's been Matt Steinwede. Stay with us, because after the break, Dr. Andrew Wilson from Australian Property Monitors is going to be along. We're going to give you some great dialogue that you can take when you're talking to buyers and sellers about the budget that's coming up, and also what's going to happen with interest rates. Stay with us. We'll be back in just one moment.
Welcome to Real Estate Uncut, the free daily podcast for real estate professionals, featuring top-performing agents, mentors, coaches, and great leaders, hosted by Australia's leading independent property commentator, Kevin Turner. You can listen on your laptop or on the go with any mobile device or through iTunes. Sign up at the website, it's free, and discover how Real Estate Uncut can improve your success today.
Welcome back once again to the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. Thanks to, of course, Dominate with Domain. Visual Domain and the real estate project. But it's great that you're back with us. We're going to be broadcasting through until 8 o'clock this morning. All of the activity has already started here. A number of people sort of milling around here. All the activity happens in the next room. And we should mention too that it's totally booked out today, but we'll give you the action. We'll be back again at lunchtime today. But right now, my good friend Dr. Andrew Wilson from Australian Property Monitors is with us with a bit of a snapshot about what's going to happen in the future. Where are we going with the budget? So much talk about the budget.
Well, we've got a lot of, focus in the next week, Kevin, on those macroeconomic drivers of the market. Today we have interest rates being announced, and I think it'll be, just a bit of a no-brainer that those rates will stay on hold. Again, that's 9 months in a row since that last cut in August last year. And interest rates, of course, are very important to the industry. We see prices rising and falling, activity rising and falling as interest rates rise and fall. And a lot of the activity that's been driven over the last year, of course, is because of that very strong cut that we had over a 2-year period up to August last year. So that released all that pent-up demand. We've got buyer activity. So the future, that's the key, what's going to happen. Now, I believe that not only today we'll have a neutral stance on interest rates, but I think really in the foreseeable future, interest rates will remain where they are. And maybe I'm a little bit contrary at the moment, but I think, if anything, the risk is downwards with interest rates, not upwards. I know there's a lot of chat at the moment about they're going to go up.
Yeah.
But look, we're going to have a very tough budget next week. That's no surprise. There's going to be a cut to not just spending programs, but also income programs. So that will have an impact on consumers in the marketplace. And these things are all, I guess, not the type of environment the Reserve Bank would want to be raising interest rates in.
Okay, well, I want to ask you then about the budget, all the talk about the negative gearing.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there?
Well, nothing will happen, Kevin. Look, part of what we learned from the housing market last year and this year is how much contribution the housing market makes to the general economy. Now, we know Sydney's been very strong over the last year, a market that's really at decade highs. But we're also seeing that translated into economic activity. We're seeing retail sales surge in New South Wales. We've seen now that Sydney has the lowest unemployment rate of any of the major capitals, or any of the major capitals, but any capital except for Darwin. So there's a real buzz. And of course, why wouldn't there be? We've seen the median house price in Sydney up by $110,000 over the last year. So that's that primary asset now is worth $100,000 plus more. We've also seen a quasi pay rise because those interest rates also mean that you're paying less on your mortgage. So in fact, the average mortgage repayment on a loan is now around about $100 a week, less than what it was when interest rates were where they were 2 years ago. So all these factors have contributed to a very positive economic environment in Sydney and New South Wales. So that shows that when we start talking about, are we going to change, capital gains tax on the family home, are we going to fiddle with negative gearing? These are all factors which can interfere with the big picture in terms of what the housing market does, not just for increasing prices or making us feel better about our house, but also about the impacts it has on the general economy.
We're out of time, Andrew, but thank you very much for joining us. But can I just ask you before we go, is this a good time to buy a house?
Well, look, most buyers are sellers and sellers are buyers. So, the Australian housing market is characterised by its resilience and its robust nature over the medium to long term. So buyers are always happy and sellers are always happy over the medium to long term. Thank you, Kevin.
So there you go. You heard it right here. Dr. Andrew Wilson telling you that today there will be no increase in interest rates.
Not for a while.
And not for some time to come. Stay with us, because coming up in just a moment, we're going to talk to Mark Kentwell about friendly auctions. Stay with us. See the biggest lineup of successful real estate professionals, coaches and mentors ever assembled with Domain's Insight to Success.
As a licensed estate agent with over 25 years of industry experience, Kevin knows exactly what questions to ask to uncover the secrets to success.
Everything you need to know to join the ranks of successful operators. All yours, free, every week. Welcome back to the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. Thanks to Dominate with Domain, Real Estate Project, Visual Domain, and of course Real Estate Uncut. I'm Kevin Turner and I'm your host. We're here till 8 o'clock. We're going to be back again at 12:30 with more guests. But right now my next guest is Mark Kentwell from PRD in Newcastle, who we've spoken to on a few occasions on Real Estate Uncut. Probably not enough, but I'm keen to talk to you about friendly auctions. But before we do, I've heard that you're actually on the job 24 hours a day. I believe that you actually negotiate in your sleep. Is that true?
Well, I couldn't tell you. I was asleep. It was reported by my wife, but it has been rumoured.
Okay. Number one selling principal nationally, 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So there you go. So a great track record. What are friendly auctions?
So friendly auctions, Kevin, are still an auction as far as the legislation goes, but we've taken some of the difficult things for buyers out of it.
Like what?
Well, the cost for one, so pest and building reports, we get the owner to pay for them from an independent panel of inspectors. So that way there's less resistance for a buyer to come and bid.
How do buyers feel about that? I mean, that's a report that's supplied by a seller. How do they feel it's independent?
Well, if you've got a panel of inspectors, and those inspectors have to be willing to sign off that they will transfer that report into the buyer's name. Therefore, all the warranties that would go with it if they bought that report themselves are the same. Now, then that comes back to the inspector's integrity, and that's why there's legislation for that.
That makes a lot of sense. Is this something that you've set up yourself?
Yeah, we started in about 2006, because when I tried to bring auctions into Newcastle in a market that was doing probably 1% auctions at the time, we needed to find a way to make it a little bit easier, because I could see the advantages for a seller, and I could see the transparency benefits for a buyer, but there was so much resistance to it. I just needed to take all the heat out of it, so I started with a bunch of surveys.
Okay, so what else do you do to make them friendly?
Well, so we give a bit of price guidance throughout the campaign, so that can be in a written form or it can be in verbally quoting, and you're updating as you go through. And there's been a lot of talk about that lately.
There has been.
That has certainly been a friction point with buyers, and if we answer that objection, we're fine. Helping them with the legal side of it as well. We get a panel of solicitors to sign off that they won't charge to look at contracts, for example, in New South Wales. So they're taking the heat out of that. And deposit and settlement conditions more flexible as well, because if they're going to wait till after auction to get a two instalment deposit clause, why not allow it under the hammer? They're still bound by the contract or a long settlement.
I mean, you've taken something that obviously you wanted to bring into a market. You've looked at all of the possible objections, and then you've been able to work around those. So congratulations. Obviously getting you good results in the market.
It's been incredible, and look, in trying it in Newcastle, tested it on humans, I like to call it. I tried it myself, then I went into the team and taught others to do it. Now we're training it right across Australia, and it's reporting excellent clearance rates. Yeah.
Mark, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you're going to enjoy your time here, and thanks for wish we could give you more time, and we will at some time in the future. I want to talk to you more.
Fine. No
Mark
worries.
Kentwell there from PRD at Newcastle, talking about friendly auctions. Tim Heavyside getting motivated, and then I'm going to be back with Craig Marshall from Century 21 talking about the challenges that are facing us in the future as we come to you live from the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. Back in just a moment. You've obviously got a great passion for real estate. How do you get motivated? How do you keep motivated?
The big thing is it's commitment. So some people are, marginally interested in being successful over, that day, that moment. They might be really, really committed to being successful. But commitment is that day, that week, that month, that year. The whole time they're absolutely committed to be successful. So doing all the prospecting, investing in yourself, getting out there, living outside your comfort zone, connecting with people, being responsible, being respectful all the time, that's commitment. I love winning. It's one of the biggest things. I love it. I'm incredibly driven by winning, incredibly driven by family, incredibly driven by my goals, but winning is a big thing. So you can't focus on losing, just keep on winning.
Those words we know, like focus, energy, enthusiasm, they're all very relevant, aren't they, in terms of your success?
Also fun, just try and keep things lighthearted. So making vendors smile, be a bit jovial. It's a great connecting tool, and it might just take the conversation to a different platform. If you can just, don't have to tell a joke all the time and repeat the same jokes in the appraisal, but you can just pick up on something and have a bit of a laugh. That really does turn things around and keeps you motivated too, because you're enjoying yourself.
Can't be motivated all the time, Tim. A lot of people are off work, at work, and that's a big mistake. So how do you turn off though? What do you do in your downtime?
Spend time with my wife and my children. I go to the gym, I exercise, so I keep myself nice and healthy. On Wednesday nights I'm home early. Sunday I actually like to cook. So I think cooking and drinking wine at the same time is a fabulous combination.
Hello and welcome back to the Ideas Exchange, coming to you live from Sydney. We're at the Star Casino and we're broadcasting with the compliments of Domain, Real Estate Uncut, Visual Domain, and of course the Real Estate Project. My next guest is Craig Marshall from Century 21, 30 years experience in the industry. Since 1983, Craig has been the driving force in the development and success of Century 21 Cordeau Marshall Group, 6 offices in the network at Gordon, Linfield, St Ives, Tarramurra, Roseville and Double Bay. Certainly keeps you a bit busy, doesn't it?
It does, and I enjoy it too.
With a team like that, can you just give me a bit of an idea as to what you see ahead in terms of challenges for the industry?
There's a lot of challenges at the moment. We've had a big challenge with the Chinese market, which is always changing. I believe that through this year we're going to have a bit of a change in the market because the last 12 months has been a great time. And also I find a lot of changes with the buyers, with the product knowledge they have,
yes,
and us keeping up with what they know.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part about it is buyers think they know what they're doing. They seem to educate themselves, but really they don't have an idea. It's like getting somebody to say, operate on my brain, who's not a brain surgeon, but read a book about brain surgery. It's the same thing. So that's something we're finding is a big challenge, and we're putting things in place to look at that.
Sydney market's enjoying a pretty good time right now. I mean, obviously we're in for a bit of a tough time. We've just had Dr. Andrew Wilson telling us about a tough time ahead with the budget and so on. That's going to affect consumer confidence. What do you see as the challenges for commissions in the future?
Commissions, that's a very good point. There is a challenge. When the market does get very good, we find the agents are just cutting their commissions and doing whatever they can to get business. And the consumers we're finding are looking at real estate agents as anybody can sell a home.
Yes.
So you're going in there and you're giving all the great ideas and what you can do and everything we can do. But I'm finding consumers, they think, well, anybody can sell a home at the moment. So they're really coming down to the commission itself, which is making it a little bit tough for us at the moment.
Because we're seeing a lot more of those sell your home yourself type sites, aren't we?
They come and go. I don't think they'll ever take over. But I'm really finding that the good agents are doing very well. But the agents trying to get into the industry, it's the toughest time at the moment. Because the product knowledge that buyers have today, or potential sellers, they go on the internet, they look, they can check everybody out. You can sit there within 2 minutes. You can see how many houses the agent sold, what they're doing, what their profile is, what the history is. 30 years ago, they had no idea.
Yeah.
But today they've got every bit of information they can find.
I mean, our industry, the landscape is changing so rapidly, nothing more so than the impact of, say, the internet. What are you doing? How are you positioning your business, say, for the next 12 months? What are you putting in place now to meet some of those?
We're really focusing on the internet. We're really focusing on what the consumer's looking at. I've just been up to Shanghai for a week with 20 top agents around the country. And I asked a question to all of them. Do you know how many people have looked at your personal websites? The public, have you ever done the Google Analytics to have a look at? It's amazing, nobody's really looking at that. We've done a study on it, and I brought it to my staff a few months ago, and we were totally surprised that every single day there's a few people looking at each one of my staff to see what they're doing. And I don't think people realise that people are really researching the back end. So we're picking up our YouTubing, our videoing, making sure our websites are up to date. It's quite scary when you go to some agencies and look at their website and they won some award back in 2000 or they haven't really updated it. But we have to do that, because consumers are going straight through and looking exactly what you're up to.
Yes, I remember 10, 15, even 20 years ago, we looked at the front window and making sure that all the photos were up to date.
No flies in there.
No flies in there, all of that kind of stuff. But our front window now is very much the internet, our internet site.
100%, and people aren't realising that. So we're really stepping up our social media, our YouTubing, our websites, making sure everything is 100% correct, because it's like you don't know, but people are looking at you. They're spying on you, you don't even know. But if you get into Google Analytics and double check what's happening, my top sales person's getting 5 hits per day on average. People are looking at what she's doing. It's crazy.
Is it because she's actually promoting herself out through Google that she's actually getting this traffic?
It's a bit of that, but also people look at what you've got for sale and what is going on. So then they actually Google your name, Google your company, and then they take it to the next level, which you don't know they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really your profile. The more profile you have, the more they're checking you out.
Craig, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
My guest has been Craig Marshall from Century 21. A bit of a snapshot there about what's going to be happening in the future. We're going to come back in just a moment. We'll wrap up our broadcast, but stay with us because there's still lots more to come.
Capture the hearts and minds of an unlimited audience with online video. It's the ultimate open for inspection. Visual Domain has produced over 20,000 property videos, leading the way in real estate marketing. Showcase your property to a global audience. Join the digital revolution.
We're going to wrap our broadcast up, our live broadcast from here. We'll be back again at 12:30 today. I just want to thank all those who've contributed so far this morning. Ewan Morton, Aaron Shiner, Brad Colwell-Isles, Craig Sheargold, Matt Steinwede, Dr Andrew Wilson, Mark Kentwell, Tim Heavyside and Craig Marshall. Stay with us because we're going to play you an episode that we put together with the compliments of Domain and the Insight series with Matt Lancashire and also Peter Hanscombe. As I said, we're going to be back again at 12:30. I want to thank our sponsors to Domain and the Insights to Success series, also Visual Domain, Real Estate Project and Real Estate Uncut. I'm Kevin Turner. We'll be back again at 12:30. Make sure you come back and join us then as we come to you live from the Ideas Exchange in Sydney. We'll see you then.